I am here to introduce the new podcast. It's something I've been working on for ages, and everyone has been telling me there's no time like the present, which there isn't. So I am doing my little intro to give people a little snippet behind what they can expect from the podcast and what we're going to be doing, who we're going to be talking to. And yeah, the name of it is What Doesn't Kill You. So stay tuned. Okay, number one question that everyone has been asking me. I think when I did the post and I sort of made the Instagram page, I think everyone was messaging me like, what is this podcast? What are you doing? Who are you going to be speaking to? And what are you going to be talking about? Anyone who knows me knows I'm probably the least likely person to do something like this, which I think is why I want to do it. I think the premise behind what I'm trying to do is create real relatable content. You know, some of these interview style podcasts are usually just an A-list celebrity hosting a podcast, speaking to a Z-list celebrity about the most first world ridiculous problems. And sometimes I just don't find it relatable, and that stops me from listening. And I think for this particular podcast, we want it to be really relatable, and, you know, the power of vulnerability in normal people and how it can lead to like some of our biggest breakthroughs. I mean that in like the least cringy way possible, but I really feel like it can open the doors, you know, for such big connections with a lot of people. And, you know, you rub shoulders every day with someone who's gone through something, and maybe you rub shoulders every day with people who have gone through the same as you, but no one's been brave enough to mention it or talk about it. So yeah, that's really what the podcast is going to be about. Because Dubai in particular, but I think the whole world can be a bit guilty of this, is only posting the glitz and glamour of Dubai life particularly. And for me, over the past couple of years, if anyone knows me relatively well, they'll know that it's been a process, it's been a journey over the last couple of years, and there's been some hiccups along the road. And I think I've made some really strong connections with people whilst going through certain events in my life and hearing about what events they've gone through. And for me, that is why I wanted to create this podcast, because I think there's some really inspirational stories that people just haven't had the space to tell. And I think even if having one guest on the podcast and, you know, someone sees that video and it helps that one person, I truly think that it will have been worthwhile from doing. So yeah, that's why I've chosen this topic, sure. Because the world is clearly having a shortage of podcasts right now, and they definitely need me to do another one. It's such an easy way, and I think when you've seen people go and do podcasts before, you know, these are people who typically would hate to be on camera as it is, and hate to be filmed, and hate the sound of their own voice half the time. But I think a podcast really allows people that sort of indirect, raw space to say exactly how they feel. You know, how many people can you see on a podcast who typically get quite emotional, who, if it was just sort of like a filmed interview, probably wouldn't show that level of emotion? So I think that's why a podcast over anything else. So the name came from, obviously it's such a cliche saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And I actually chose to leave the latter part off the title, because sometimes I don't actually think it can make you stronger. I think in the long run, yes, but I think it can make you a million other things. And I think everyone has a different view on what it can make them. I think it can make you wiser. I think it can make you funnier. I know people who have a real dark sense of humor following on from some really awful things that they've gone through. It can make people more resilient. Literally anything. So I think the name What Doesn't Kill You is that you can push through pretty much anything. And if you come out an overall better person in whatever way on the other side, then in some way, sometimes it can be worth it. So some things that are going to be spoken about, I mean, literally anything. Some big health setbacks, some pretty awful accidents that people have gone through, or grief or heartbreak. It gets the best of us. And addiction, adversity. I mean, literally anything. You know, it's that space for someone to really come and tell the world their story, really, in not too cliche terms. Pretty much this vibe that we've got going on now. Just me, my chamomile tea, and hopefully some really inspirational stories. Okay, so the plan is, I say the plan is because everything changes, and typically I work in real estate, so things can get busy, but I plan on doing an episode to begin with once a month. I'll release it on a Sunday afternoon so that everyone can sit, relax, chilled, listen to whatever, whoever's come on the podcast that month. Hopefully it will increase to twice a month if we get some awesome guests that want to come on and chat away. But yeah, Sunday afternoons, that's where you're going to find us. So yeah, warnings and disclaimers. There's probably going to be tears, more often than not mine. Definitely going to be some swearing. Sorry guys, it's not going to be an unfiltered podcast, that's for sure. The swearing will probably also be mine, but we'll try to rein it in. But this is going to be a raw, unfiltered version of people's events. So if they need to swear and they need to let it out, then you're just going to have to grin and bear it. There's probably going to be some disjointed podcasting happening because I'm getting used to a new role in that I need to host. So there's going to be some unorthodox podcasting, I assume. And that's pretty much it. But I would say there will be some triggering topics for some people. Not everyone, of course. But there will definitely be some triggering topics for some listeners. So hopefully you can ride the wave. But yeah, they're your trigger and your warnings and disclaimers for you. So just for any guests that plan or they know that they're going to be coming on to this podcast and they're going to be listening. This is difficult for me to say for someone who works in real estate, but for the time, and actually I'm going to say for listeners as well, for guests coming on the podcast, this is strictly no phone zone, okay? No picking up the phone, no answering the phone, no calling, texting, nothing. This is a proper space where everyone can be. Oh my God. Oh no, that's really funny. Can you hear it on the... Yeah. Flipping heck. As if. So that is pretty much it for the introduction to the podcast and realistically what we're going to try, or what I'm going to try and achieve with the podcast. And hopefully you guys, it makes a little bit more sense to you guys now. This has been over a year in the making, literally. And I've got a few close friends who have actually given me a real kick up the arse to get this done. So I have them to thank for this. So I definitely think this will be exactly what Dubai needs, to be honest. I think people really need to get an understanding of, you are surrounded every day by people who are going through real stuff. And I think we can all be a little bit kinder, to be honest. And hopefully this podcast will do, we'll show people just that. And I can't wait to take you all on the journey with me.